This video is about the extrinsic value in options. So in the stock market, when you look at any given option and its value, it's made up of exactly two components, the extrinsic value and the intrinsic value. We're going to focus this video on the extrinsic value, but to determine the extrinsic value, you need to understand how to calculate the intrinsic value. It's kind of a mouthful, but we're going to go through it here. So to get the intrinsic value, you take the price of a stock and subtract the strike price of the option you're considering. That's the intrinsic value, and it can never be less than zero. If you do that subtraction and the number is less than zero, then the intrinsic value is just zero. To get the extrinsic value, you take the value of the option itself, the actual price of the option, and subtract the intrinsic value that you just calculated. That's how you determine the extrinsic value. So with this example here, we're imagining Apple stock itself is selling for $105 a share, and we're looking at the 100 strike option for Apple. The expiration doesn't matter. If that option is selling for $7, then we can determine what the extrinsic value and intrinsic value are. So first, we need to know the intrinsic value, and we can get that by taking $105, the price of the stock, and subtracting 100, which is the strike price of the option. And that gives us $5. So this option has $5 worth of intrinsic value. It's said to be an in-the-money option. Now, pardon me, if you take the options price, which in this case is $7, you subtract the intrinsic value, what's left over is the extrinsic value. And in this example, it's $7 minus $5 gives you $2. The extrinsic value is made up of all sorts of different criteria and factors. There's things like the time value of the option, the volatility associated with either the stock or with the market environment, and things of that nature. It can be considered somewhat complex. And so in this video, we're not going to talk about exactly how it's calculated for any given option. We're just explaining that in general, the extrinsic value is any part of the option that is not intrinsic as far as the valuation goes. So anything else besides the intrinsic value on a given option, it is considered the extrinsic value. And pardon me, one way to think of that as far as what it represents, it can be considered the premium that's required to control the option, to have the privilege of investing in the option and using the leverage that the option affords you. Now, if you have an option, let's take another example. Imagine that the strike price we're looking at is 110. So the Apple stock is $105, and we're looking at the 110 strike option. And imagine it's selling for $7. The intrinsic value in that case would be zero because the strike price is higher than the stock price. If you take 105 minus 110, that would be a negative number. We know the intrinsic value can't be negative, so it would just be zero. That means that the entire value of that option is all extrinsic value, $7 in that example. If you have any questions about extrinsic value or about options in general, you can always reach out to us. Our email address is support@stockmarketguides.com.